Right down it. Not the worst start in the world. So I'm sure you all will have noticed that I'm putting with the pin in, and of course that is part of the new rules of golf in 2019. You're allowed to putt with the pin in. There are various other rules that have come into play this year. So while I'm out having a few holes, I thought we'd chat them through, go over some of the rules while I'm out here on the course. I'll give you my thoughts on the rules that were proposals and then initially ditched or modified, and the rules that actually came into play. Then we're going to go through some of your thoughts on the rules. Have a good old-fashioned golf chat, see what this is all about. Ultimately, we're going to try and figure out what is the point in the new rules, and are they going to change golf in the long run. I am trying to film a video. So first rule I want to talk about, that's come into play in 2019, and you will have seen this if you watched the I can't remember what they call the tournament now. It used to be called Tournament Champions in Kapalua over the weekend. You will have seen plenty of this on TV. You will have also have seen lots of it flying around social media. If you've been watching our vlogs for the last year or so, year and a half, you will have seen lots of our gammy knee drops as well. And that, of course, is the new drop rule, which basically means that players now have to drop from knee height. Initially they proposed anything from 1 inch or above, as long as it passed through clean air to get to the ground, but then they changed it to knee height. Don't ask me to explain the rationale behind that, but you will have seen a lot of confusion even among the world's best golfers about exactly how to go about doing this drop. So there are 2 ways you can do it, which I will demonstrate for you now. And just to illustrate a point, and for the sake of this video, let's pretend that I didn't just plant this ball here and I get a drop off this cart path. Let's go through the dropping procedures. So firstly, and very much unfortunately, you can't give it the old classic gammy knee drop, which is a real shame because they are very funny. So you will have seen this over the weekend at Kapalua. A lot of pros doing the old, oh, where's my knee? Can't bend it. Ooh. So essentially, the official guidelines want you to just basically lean over forward, knee height, drop. Seems quite simple, but even the most coordinated golfers in the world seem to be struggling with it at the weekend. Second option, and I can't think of any drawbacks to doing this in the UK whatsoever, apart from looking like a complete plonker, is to give it this. And you know, that's your knee height, then you drop. And as I said, I can't think of any drawbacks to doing that in the UK whatsoever. No drawbacks at all. Good rule, that. Another point I want to raise around this rule, which I don't really understand, is why does it have to be specifically knee height? Obviously that varies from golfer to golfer, as does shoulder height, to be fair. But why are we going to get penalised if we drop from above knee height? That does not make too much sense to me. I think I saw a quote from some guy at the USGA the other day who said there are up to like 9 variations of why you might have to re-drop, and then dropping from a lower height reduces the chances of the ball then bouncing and moving, and then obviously reduces the chance of those re-drop scenarios occurring. But ask yourself this, how many times in, let's say, a year do you actually have to take a drop? Fair few for a lot of us probably, but then how many times a year in a friendly casual setting that most of us play in, or even in medal play, do the rules then enforce you to then take that re-drop? I can't think of too many instances in my 20 odd years where I've had to waste probably up to 30 seconds to a minute, God forbid, re-dropping anything. In general, I take my drop, playing partners are happy with it, and I go on from there. So, as said, I don't understand the need to be penalised for dropping from above knee height. If anyone could explain that one to me, apart from that thing that I just said about the USGA's point of the re-drops, please enlighten me. Oh, 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 oh! Penalise him, punish him! So, one of the proposals which was eventually ditched, golfers have always measured relief, whether that be from a hazard, an unplayable lie, ground under repair, whatever you want, by 1 or 2 club lengths. And there was a proposal to bring in a rule to then start measuring it by between 20 and 80 inches. God knows how they arrived at those measurements, but short of taking a tape measure out on the golf course, that just seemed like a needless complication on an already very simple and effective rule. So thankfully, 1 or 2 club lengths shall remain the norm. Just in case any of you rock a belly putter, by the way, the putter is the only club in the bag you're not allowed to measure drops with. One of the rules that has made its way in 2019 is the fact that now golfers can ground their club in a hazard, as well as moving loose impediments, and that includes moving loose impediments in a bunker as well. But you are not allowed to ground your club in a bunker, because makes that shot a little easier, doesn't it? Having said that, you can take an unplayable lie in a bunker in 2019 with a 2-shot penalty. So you can basically just drop it outside of the bunker if you don't fancy a chance of getting out, which for a lot of amateur golfers is probably a good thing. Dad, if you're watching, happy days. Welcome to 2019. So, here's my provisional, nice and safe, still a bit left. Unfortunately, my first ball was a wild hook, and just past these trees, which I cleared, going left, it's out of bounds. And that leads me on to one of the biggest rules changes for 2019, and it's a bit controversial for some. I kind of like it, but basically, whereby in 2018 I would have had to have done what I did and hit a provisional or a second ball. Always have a little spare in my pocket, very efficient like that, you know. In 2019, clubs can employ a local rule, so I don't think it's going to be universal, but clubs can employ a local rule whereby you can drop a second ball in the vicinity of where you think your ball went out of bounds. So it's very much like dropping in a hazard. I've always kind of questioned the punishment of hitting a ball out of bounds versus hitting a ball in a hazard. End of the day, it's the same thing, it's a lost ball, but obviously with out of bounds you got penalised shots and distance, because you'd have to hit another tee shot, whereas hazards you could just drop out laterally, or you know, all the other variations of drop. So for me, I don't mind this one. Better players will probably be a little bit miffed by it, because I could well have had to have hit 2 or 3 tee balls there to get one in play. So that's going to split opinion, but yeah, out of bounds has drastically changed depending on which club you're a member at. Yeah, that was a stone cold top. Sorry, I should just clarify as well that when you do drop from out of bounds, if that is a local rule at your club, it's a 2-shot penalty. So effectively, you're going to be playing your 4th from where your provisional or reload would have gone had you hit a good one, in theory, kind of. So, rather ironically, I've tried to simulate a double hit there, and I'll explain why in a second. And from about 10-20 yards short of the green, I've hit quite a nice shot. So, yeah, maybe that's the key for me. Just try and double hit it, Ross. So the reason why I was trying to simulate a double hit, clearly not anywhere near skilled enough to do that on call, is that that's no longer going to be punishment. So there is no longer going to be punishment for a double hit. You're not going to count that as 2 strokes, it's going to be 1 stroke, which I guess is a little bit more fair. I mean, I don't know about you, I know someone who double hits roughly 50% of his chip shots. If you're watching, you know who you are. And in all honesty, I've been playing golf with this guy for 10, 12 years and I've never seen him double hit a chip shot and it work out well. So I don't think anyone's probably ever going to hit a double hit chip shot and it have gone closer to the hole than it would have been already. It's always going to be a pretty terrible result. So maybe a bit more fair, kind of pointless, I don't know. What do you guys think? Going off topic ever so briefly, do you guys have a hole at a course that you play a lot, whether you're a member at or you just pay green fees at, where you play regularly, where you just always seem to hit a good tee shot? 16th at my home club is that hole for me. Even when I don't hit good shots, I mean that was pretty thin, still gone quite close, and I always seem to do it on this hole. Bloody love it. So another interesting one is one that's going to affect golfers on the greens. I'm sure everyone will have had a grievance at some point in their golfing career, let's say, where your players who are in front of you, or if you're at the back of a field, it's always going to happen, and you see it a lot in pro golf as well. You're not allowed to tap down spike marks, or you have not been allowed to tap down spike marks up until this point, but that's all changed in 2019. You are now permitted to repair spike marks on the green, which I think is a good thing. End of the day, if someone in front of you, some big lummox, has chewed up your line, then you're kind of getting penalised for not someone else's negligence. It's just going to happen. It's a fact of golf. People walk on the greens and make marks. So I'm not sure what I think about this one. I'll explain a little bit more about that later when we're summing up. Well, despite the wooden man swing having drastically straightened up my driving towards the second half of last year, there is still the comedy bad shots in there, plenty of them. Yeah, that'll do. Don't know about you guys, but I've never ever been a fan of looking for golf balls all that much. So another one of the rules that's coming in 2019, which I think is a really good one, is that 5-minute permitted time to be searching for lost golf balls. It's been cut to 3. Obviously that's in an attempt to speed things up a little bit. Personally, it's just going to keep me a little bit sane. I hate playing with people who insist on using up every second of their allotted 5 minutes. Drives me bonkers. Obviously I'm a little bit more wild than most golfers, so I'm fairly confident when I've lost a ball or hit a ball off the course that it's definitely gone. So there's not much value in me looking for golf balls really. Whereas I do understand people who have missed a fairway by 5 or 10 yards might want to spend a little bit more time looking, but I think, yeah, in general, if you're a seasoned golfer, no matter whether you're playing off 28, scratch, 10, 12, whatever, you generally know when, well, 8, 9 times out of 10, if you're going to find a ball or not within 2 minutes of starting to look, I reckon. So 5 minutes for me was overkill. I'm glad that's been cut down. Yeah, we can all just kind of get on with our lives a little bit quicker, which is great. So another of the on the green rules that's going to change in 2019 is that you are no longer penalised for accidentally moving your ball. Speaking of that, you're also no longer penalised for accidentally moving your ball when you're looking for it, which I don't really get, essentially what they're trying to say is a player won't be penalised for a ball moving unless it is almost certain that they caused it to move. So yeah, they're looking for the golf ball thing. I don't really understand that one, but it does make sense on the greens because, you know, you think back to like Dustin Johnson at the US Open. I mean, he blatantly did not touch that ball with his club, so it definitely wasn't almost certain that he caused the ball to move, and that was a big furore over that incident. And also you kind of see that every day in golf. You put your putter down behind the ball without making contact with it, and because of variances and imperfections in the ground, every now and again it will oscillate by half a dimple. I mean, to penalise people for that is just crazy in my eyes. But yeah, if anyone could explain to me the accidentally moving your ball when you're looking for it thing, would really appreciate it. So I came out to film this video on the course. Thought it made a lot more sense to do so rather than sitting in the office. But unfortunately, the course is pretty busy. And when I'm taking my time with the camera, setting things up, I'm just getting in people's way. It's very hard to film the video as well. So last point I'm going to talk about is the fact that golf's governing body is also trying to encourage ready golf, which, if you're not already playing that kind of thing in casual friendly games, maybe not in competitions, but and match play situations, if you're not already doing ready golf, then maybe you're taking it a little bit too seriously. But as I said, the course is busy, filming the video is becoming difficult. It's also really cold outside, so I'm going to head in, go through your comments, and try and sum up my overall thoughts on the new rules of golf. So guys, let's go through some of your comments which you posted on social media. The other day I posted a poll regarding the 2019 golf rules, and it read 2019 golf rules thoughts / first impressions ? 42% was the top vote on jury's still out, pointless, don't get them, and they help golf were fairly close, not much splitting those two. So I kind of agree with the majority. The jury is still out for me. What I would say about these rules is that my prediction being in a year, let's say a year and a half, maybe even less, no one's going to be talking about it. We will have accepted it for what it is. I don't think they will change golf in any way, shape or form. I don't think they will speed up play. I mean, I don't even think there's a problem with pace of play anyway, but that's another topic. We'll get into that another time, I'm sure. I just can't really understand the point of lots of them. The rationale being for lots is that it's supposed to speed up play, make the game more accessible. I mean, make it easier for golfers to play. I just don't see any of them having that drastic effect on it. It's good that golf's governing bodies are trying to move the game forward. I'm not criticising the move to change some of the rules. I just, as I said, I can't see personally how the rules that have been changed are going to make that drastic of an effect. But I could be wrong, and that remains to be seen. But yeah, for all those who posted comments on your thoughts, thank you very much. Let's go through some of those now. I'll try and do this very quickly. There were two of those rules which were a very common theme throughout this thread, and that was the putting with the flag in and the knee drop. Peter Douglas, flag in while putting helps tick play along, especially if your playing partner is on the green with the lengthy putts, saves them waiting for you to chip on, and then 10 flag, etc, etc. At Ben Chell's, flag stick in, out then ensured our winter league game lasted longer than usual. Need to adapt to allow those who want to putt in and then take it out for those who want it out. I think that's a very interesting contrasting point. Obviously, the option to putt with the flag in is definitely going to shave a few seconds off in certain instances. In other instances, it's going to take longer. So it's great that you can just get on with your lengthy approach putt while your playing partners are putting their wedges away, getting their putters out. They don't have to tend the pin for you. That's good. But then if you're in a 4-ball, and let's say 2 people want to putt with the flag out, 2 people want to putt with the flag in, that time's going to add back up anyway. So I think when you consider how long a round of golf takes, the effect of having the flag in or out with reference to pace of play, I really don't see it having that big of an effect. But lots of you guys seem to enjoy it. At Jamie Titty, Whoever invented the kneecap nonsense needs their head removed. A little bit extreme, but it is a bit of a mental rule. Brian Messier? Don't know, getting that wrong for sure. They all look like drunks dropping from the knee height like it's an unnatural motion. I agree. As I said earlier in the video, I kind of demonstrated the 2 recommended ways that the governing bodies are suggesting you do this. But as we saw in Kapalua, even the most coordinated golfers in the world still can't really wrap their heads around exactly how to do it that efficiently. Leaving the pin in is handy, Adrian O'Sullivan. Knee drop is the most pointless rule change ever. I kind of agree on that. Mick Arthur says, not to have to drop more than once makes a difference. Only saves a few seconds, but it mounts up, especially when you are behind someone doing it and having to watch them drop 3 to 4 times. I get what you're saying, Mick. I kind of disagree because, as I said earlier, I really can't think of that many instances in my life where I've been playing golf and the group in front of me are having to re-drop over and over and over again to get it right. And even if they did, that's 2 extra drops maximum, I presume, and then you just place the ball where it landed on the initial drop. So even if that had happened to me, I'd like to think I've got enough patience to wait the extra 30 seconds it would take. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people need to re-drop more often than I think. Marcus McLaughlin. Not crazy about being able to ground the club in a hazard. I think there's going to be massive grey areas with that rule. Like with anything in golf, there's going to be people who try and chance their arm and improve their, maybe not necessarily their lie, but their line to the ball and make it easier to get out of the hazard. I'm not really that fussed about it. If you're in a hazard, you're already being penalised, and if you do take the mick a bit too much, you're going to get called up by your playing partners anyway. So that one doesn't offend me so much. Nick Burlington, what new rules? Pick and place everywhere, mulligan off every tee, free drop from bunkers, 10-foot gimmies, hashtag society, hashtag golf rules. Absolutely love that. That is quite funny. I have to admit, when I'm playing friendly games with my mates, we very rarely even count score. We kind of just enjoy each other's company and try and hit some good shots and stuff. I'm not saying we give each other 10-foot gimmies and all that kind of nonsense, but I do think that these changes in the rules of golf will affect a decent chunk of people, but there are a lot of people out there who purely play the game for its enjoyment and aren't too fussed in the first place, don't play in competitions, so these rules won't really affect them that much. At Craig VN, drop rule is wrong, should be above the knee. Others are fine. I agree. I think if you want to reduce it down to knee height to try and minimise the amount of re-drops that happen, like I said, I don't think that's an issue anyway. By all means, make the minimum height you can drop it from your knee, but I don't see why we're getting penalised for dropping from above that. That doesn't make sense to me. Bill Mills, tapping down spike marks is the one I like the best. Again, I said earlier in the video, I think this is great in certain situations. I think being able to repair spike marks is great, but again, they're going to be golfers who just push the envelope a little bit too far, and they're going to be tapping down everything in between their ball and the hole to try and smooth out their line. I'm not saying there's lots of cheats in the game, but there are people who try and bend the rules to their advantage. There are people who are just a bit obsessive about certain things as well. So I think that one could potentially damage pace of play. Again, I don't really think there's an issue with pace of play, but if we're all going to talk about that and the other rules being in the aid of pace of play, I can't see how that one's going to help. Verge is the word. Don't have to have any guesses as to which football team this guy supports, but he says you can't really judge them as a group like this. For example, the knee drop seems pointless, but keeping the flag in will speed things up a bit around the greens. Yes, I agree kind of with both your sentiments there, and I agree wholeheartedly with the overall message in your tweet. There are good examples, there are bad examples of the rules being changed, but as I said, I don't think as an overall overarching thing that this is going to have a drastic effect to the game of golf, how quickly it's played, how many people enjoy it, how many new people we attract to the game, all that kind of stuff. I just can't see it. And to sign things off, Daniel Philby, golfers love a moan and hate change or challenge. You won't remember them changing next season. Kind of agree. And in my mind, that is what kind of points to me that they're kind of a bit pointless. As I said, I think it's great that we're trying to move forward with some of the things in golf, but I think there are bigger issues to be faced than pace of play and rules that, in my mind, won't really have that much of an effect on pace of play, if that's even an issue. Anyway, I've rambled on for long enough, so I would love you guys to post some comments down below. Let me know what you guys think of the 2019 rules changes. Are they good? Are they bad? Are they a bit pointless? Which is kind of what I think. Do you have any ideas for other suggestions or other rules that could be changed? I reckon lots of you are going to be posting release from a divot in the fairway, that kind of stuff. So yeah, whack some comments down there. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And yeah, I will see you guys soon. It's time for me to go home.